cashing the checks. Niggas trash, you ain't even gotta ask for the bet. Rich, pretty nigga, 6-figure deal, Tommy Hilfiger. Real estate deals, house in the hills figures. Right next to Chino, world mine, Al Pacino. Read free throws, DC notes, I'm ballin'.
Slave to the duff, niggas change for the duff. Pray for the duff, 8Ks for the duff. Niggas ain't funny.
Welcome, Web3 media friends, to another show. We're doing this a little different today. We're starting to incorporate new partners into this process, this crazy show. If this is your first time, thank you for joining. We do this show live. I say we because I have multiple personalities clearly in my head, and but doing it, you'll see with NFTs and 3D assets within this show that I own, that I utilize for the storytelling of this show. But at its core, we talk about creators, entrepreneurs in the Web3 space, and today we're going to talk about Miami and partnerships. I mean, partnerships is so important to everything we do, and we talk a lot about collabs and how internally it's needed, for 3D and media projects to collab with each other. But I think Miami really brought about Art Basel, again, giving us another lesson. If you guys are fans of the show, long time, we've been here for a while, and we covered Art Basel and sort of how Art Basel was it was like a lightning rod for the art world and for others to discover NFTs in a massive way. This is what led to the bull run of Bored Apes. I mean, obviously they had a lot of things planned, but in terms of having those experiences at NFT NYC and then Art Basel following right after, it created such huge momentum and really opened the eyes of the power of IRLs and the power of these relationships that you can bring together in terms of your project and promotion of your project. I'm not in Miami because of just this such fact. I think just to be very transparent, I was supposed to be there. I had a nice little room at the Moxie. I love the Moxie, the smallest rooms in any city, but the best common areas. And we just started getting word that the FTX meltdown had caused a lot of concern. About opulence and showing opulence. I think it's not the right time to have the big opulent party in this space. Is the feeling, and as also, and also just people getting wiped out in terms of crypto. And so there was a huge pullback in terms of Web3 in this space. The projects that did go, though, I think did really well. I think World of Women had an amazing gala. It looked fantastic. High production value, and they really went hard. Reg Radio, hi, our partners, executive producers here, had amazing announcements with Corey Van Loo doing a PFP for Rug Radio. So it was something I was just we got our rugs, we love our rugs. But to now have a PFP could really stimulate, I think, the space in a big way. And so by having a great artist, and I think there's going to be a lot of value in, again, participating in these media companies in Web3. And you can see the ability to collab, again, being a power. Clearly, Rug Radio has that power. But also, we have a lot of others, and so we brought on a new correspondent, senior party correspondent. Let me see if I can get him here in the metaverse. Do we have communications here? I think we do. Can you hear us? I'm sorry. It says your name here is Bed Bunny. Yes, bed. It's just it's a thing. I have the ears. Well, welcome to the show. It says here that you are an expert in partnerships. Is that right? Yeah. Well, I just landed, a few days ago, but it's been a very, very exciting experience here on this planet. I've had over 700 relationships so far. I'm sorry. What do you mean by 700 relationships? I think you call this intercourse or something here in the Earth world. I'm sorry. You just landed here. We have video of you landing here just a few days ago, and you're saying you've already had 700 relationships. is that not enough? No, that's, I mean, we're talking COVID protocols here. We're really over the line. Just in any regard, I think you should be thinking about quarantining to some degree. You've just landed to our planet 3 days ago, and you're having over 700 relationships. That's kind of remarkable. Well, nobody's telling me these things. I just arrived, and it's. I say hello in this place. This place, Miami, is very giving, I would say. Okay. So you're in Miami. Can you give us any insight into what you're seeing in Miami? I've been seeing a lot of parts of people, and usually the ones that are covered by their clothes. But I think I'm enjoying seeing them. Okay, great. I think let's take a look at what some of the partnerships are that have been making the headlines. And I think that follow me at Minty Fresh Vibe on Twitter. I believe we are live there now, I'm hoping. And so the nightlife, I mean, the 3 a.m. parties in Miami, were of the highest caliber this year. And, with Travis Scott and Cardi B. And so here's the thing, it's just like they're all here. People selling, big pieces. I think there was a Basquiat for sale at $20 million. That at time right now had not sold yet. They were hoping for it this weekend. Thinking of maybe taking a $17 million offer. But you have look at these collabs here. So Eva Longoria, Casa del Sol Tequila, partnering with Mexico City Collectible Design Gallery, Ago Projects. Aboard super yachts, and then so you have Farfetch, Rebecca Minkoff, Louboutin with W Magazine, Wynwood Walls. They were just kind of doing their own, but Super Blue Miami and BMW. I'm showing you guys these not to say like the land, like oh yeah, but you see the commonality here is traditional galleries understand the importance of this event in a big way and partner with large brands to present artists like chain smokers like Martin Garrix, Black Coffee, and clearly Cardi B. So this is and I don't know what she's doing in that photo, but there's I think our correspondent might, but the idea of having, I heard Maxim was kind of the big one as well this year, with Trippie Redd. Shout out to Trippie Redd. Trippie Redd's like just been grinding for like 5-6 years, and starting to finally get some recognition. And so by having these partnerships, Resi and American Express, so we're talking about these sponsored parties to bring talent. And so it's, we understand this, it's just like to try and like get the money together, sharing resources. But I think that this needs to be thought about a bit more fuller in the Web3 space, because you have these traditional sort of Art Basel parties. They do it a bit bigger now in Miami, I will say. Like this, Art Basel used to be like, it's still done in Paris, and they have it, they used to have it in LA, but it wasn't like this. And so with the sponsors and the parties, because I think these things, the parties sort of become the thing, right? It's like you might do a quick walkthrough of Basel, but like unless you're a serious collector, most people are there for the events surrounding the event. And so people like DiCaprio and Cardi just partying, and so Sergey Brin coming off his divorce, he's looking to party with Cardi, and so but the noticeable difference here is I didn't mention like MoonPay. I didn't mention a lot of the sort of the big names, like even Bored Apes. Like there was no leak about who was there. Like I feel like in the previous Bored Ape live events, like I immediately you would get on Twitter like, oh yeah, this person's there and Chris Rock is emceeing. This is amazing. This is phenomenal. So much FOMO that drove NFT NYC, and the the reminder, I think, of the utility of NFTs back then, again, that, oh yeah, it's more than just the JPEGs. You have access to culture, and access at events like this is fun. Like, who doesn't want to go to, the Cardi B, where she gets hammered and does a set at 3 a.m. impromptu. So this market multiple is like, last year it was all about like the NFTs, right? It was just like, I remember Bears Deluxe were, getting like panels, within galleries and being put up against, other fine art that was for sale. And this year, rest in peace, my 2 ETH. I'm thinking of like all these like great offers I got on those Bears Deluxe. And so, but now, this year, a multitude of NFT related projects are not the highlight. And so, was that the case for you? Let me ask my metaverse correspondent. Was that the case for you? Did you understand that there were not a lot of NFTs being highlighted this year in Miami? I don't know what an NFT is, but everyone keeps calling me a digital collectible as I'm walking around. It's very, I don't know what to make of it. What is an NFT? This is my point exactly. Everyone's trying to like sweep the almost the concept under the rug because it's been over marketed and clearly has had its run. But I think we're looking at the technology itself versus the sort of the name brandedness of it, the connection to it has definitely become a bit tired, and that's why you have projects that are pushing more these concepts of digital art initiatives. They're not saying digital art initiatives and digital collectibles sort of are coming to the forefront to try and replace the name because the concepts are there. I mean, who doesn't still want it, and it's still true. Sales were quite good on the high end, apparently, in Miami in terms of art. And despite the new cycle of cryptocurrencies, remains strong interest in digital art. Says Nicole Sales. She's at Christies. Collectors want to own the best works, and that's still completely the case. And I think that if you tune into some of the other, follow me on Twitter and tune into some of the other spaces that I'm a part of on Thursdays, sometimes we talk about art. And with host Zin, and she's a really refined collector. And, we were talking about just the idea of, CryptoPunks being placed in permanent collections and how big that is. And just in terms of traditional art collection, that speaks volumes to the long-term value of something like CryptoPunks, and certainly Bored Apes have also been getting that treatment as permanent collections. And so keep an eye on what's being bought by the museums in their permanent collections, because they have an eye clearly to signal to the rest of the art community value. Like I sometimes go on these these tours. What you do is you get on a tour with maybe a docent, or sometimes you can pay for these opportunities at shows like Basel. You used to do it at Basel, and there's a couple other shows where basically you go and you get like a private tour. Private tours are led a lot of times by curators at museums, and so you just kind of chum me up with the curator and you're like, so who's up for next season? And they'll like kind of tell you like who's up for next season. And if you start collecting them early, you'll see when those land as displays, in the museums. The value of those pieces tend to go up. So there's a little insider collector alpha for you there. But never financial advice here. More about collecting things that are going to be interesting, because that's the thing is museums have a core creative value within the creative community, because it's the discovery within those museums of these pieces that inspire other works. And so a lot of the design concepts that you'll see, like in window displays coming up this December, are part of museum displays maybe 2 years ago. And so like the color combinations of bringing back somebody from the 60s and showing a retrospective of a particular artist, and or the shocking value of another, that has ripples within the creative community. And so to know who's being shown, who's being collected by museums, is important to the creative community, and sort of ripples down, as you'll see. Somebody in the creative community that I'm just astonished by right now, and I'm not going to go into any sort of personal thing, but Mario Nawfal, sorry, I'm just going to kill that name. Mario Nawfal is a name you should get to know, because his Twitter spaces have been just monster, epic spaces. For a Twitter space, where a couple thousand was like huge. We're talking about hundreds of thousands. We're talking about millions. And to be fair, these are catch-ups. Like, as I'm watching these, they will be about like when Elon jumps in. I think the first Elon space, there was maybe 50, 60,000, maybe even up to 70 as people started to tweet about it live in the space. And even on his second one, or even the Sam Bankman-Fried was like, the SBF here, maybe is 25, 35,000 live, but there's a lot of people catching up. There's, and so I think in terms of how these numbers are being counted, it's still a bit mysterious. I don't know how accurate it is, but you'll jump into the space and you're like, whoa, like 20, 30, 40,000 people, which is massive for Twitter spaces. But then sort of the replays of these, the numbers of which, are in the millions. And so, and I'm just like, I knew that, Mario has been hosting, for some time, this year. And, just like, I was just blown away by like, his ability to get them into these spaces. And we can talk about, I think we're going to do an entire show based on like spaces and the techniques of spaces in which to perhaps stimulate that. And so maybe Mario's tuning in now. I'm sorry, Mario. I'm doing like this weird technical sort of thing. And so this might be going live on Twitter Spaces, but I'm unable to see you and let you jump in at the moment as I'm sort of branching out with this format. And so, but, what an astonishing sort of career leading into this. He's built, a personal wealth of, over $100 million, from, it says $300 in the bank, going door to door, in 2012, but 10 years later, hosting, these Twitter spaces, but having this stuff in between, right? And that's the thing, like everybody today can be doing having $300 in the bank and hosting a Twitter Spaces today. You can. Please go do one right now, and tag me. I'll join. I'll say what's up. But the stuff in between is the important part, and that's being a CEO of NFT Technologies, focusing in on NFTs planning to go public, IBC Group, marketing agency. Speaking of which, one of the people that has been pretty active still in Miami was Gary V. And, to the point of, partnerships having such great meaning. I mean, Gary's not going to go away. He's a smart guy. And if NFTs are down, he's still going to be present. And he was doing Axe body spray, like no FUD. Like, he runs a marketing agency and they paid him really, really well, I'm sure. But like, that's kind of the longevity and sort of the long game, I think, of the space is to definitely have some variation in your projects, and look for that variation in your project. I look at doodles and you're like, wow, Pharrell is like be their person who's going to be handling those collabs, and you got World of Women, and these projects, I think, that have a lot more to them. They're still finding their utility. To be honest, I'm just like, golf is cool. Like, they had an amazing golf thing for doodles in Miami, and World of Women had this amazing gala and these fun parties, and they had the Madonna concert in New York. And that's, utility, that experience. you can tell they're looking for more. Their businesses, they're making hires in areas that are going to allow them to develop businesses out of these NFTs, out of these projects, and become full-blown businesses. But they've gotten the collaboration part right in terms of making sure that they're not tied necessarily specifically to a cryptocurrency, etc. Like MoonPay is like apparently just like everybody's friend right now because they're the ones who have hosted some of the bigger parties in Miami and stayed the course, which was really challenging to do. So yeah, all the links are down below here on the YouTube. Those listening on the podcast and on Twitter Spaces, jump on the YouTube, and I have all the links here. And let's try and look a bit more at who Mario Nawfal is. And he's a Dubai-based Aussie serial entrepreneur. But his ability to bring in people into these spaces is quite phenomenal, and somebody definitely to keep an eye on in the Web3 space because of his ability and his understanding clearly of media and of media, this burgeoning media of Twitter Spaces. Like, if you're bullish about anything in this space, I would be bullish about Twitter Spaces. And joining them, being part of the conversation as you're learning about the space. And once you get to that point, this is what's lovely about this. Once you get to this point in Twitter Spaces, you can ask the questions. If ask the questions, and then you get to another point, and you're like, well, I know the answer now. And you can then ask to be a speaker. Like, I know the answer of that. Let me tell you how it goes. In marketing or in product development, etc., bringing your own expertise into this space, and that's the richness and the beauty I love in this space. And so, as we continue on with our media coverage of the media within Web3, I bid you a good GM or a GN, depending on your time frame, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.